Good afternoon. Welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. Give me a second while I welcome our Spanish speaking neighbors. Buenas tardes, gracias por estar con nosotros esta tarde a las 3 p.m. con SOC. Si quieren acceso al programa en español, por favor marquen el número que aparece en la pantalla, que es 425-436-6200. Cuando contestan la llamada, por favor comparten el contraseña, el código que aparece empezando con el número 6, que es 627-682. Thank you for giving me that time to welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors. It is May 13th, 2020. My name is Tammy Rivera, and I'm the Executive Director and Lead Organizer with Southside Organizing Center, SOC or SOC. We are so happy that we can be with you in these difficult times, continuing our grassroots organizing. We are still available for you in all the ways that you could always reach us, with the exception of in person, which we look forward to doing once again. Please know you can still call us at 414-672-8090. You can email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org, and you can visit our website at socmilwaukee.org. And a little later, Taylor is going to take you through our coronavirus information resource and technology page there so that you're reminded of all the great information that could help you navigate these times. We have a great program today, much anticipated guest, Congresswoman Moore. We'll be talking to her in a little bit. And want to remind you that we are still running a special promotion. We have a daily $25 gift certificate drawing for those of you who fill out our surveys. It's super important that you do that. We get funded by some great partners, and we have to demonstrate that we're getting input from the people that we serve. And we do that by your filled out surveys for each of our programs and services. So please do fill it out. It takes maybe 5 minutes. It's just a couple of questions about, was the information shared on the forum helpful to you? What do you like? What would you like us to change? And your thoughts about things that could be added to the forum to meet your needs. So please do that. Before we start our forum, I'd like to remind you all that we're very committed to ensuring the near South Side residents have a voice and a vote and a vehicle to organize. And so we create platforms for ideas and concerns and dreams to be discussed. And so sometimes we can sign off on some of those because of the type of organization we are, or we may not necessarily be able to weigh in on an issue. So with that, I'd like to share that we have a disclaimer that we have to make sure you all hear, which is that the views and opinions shared today may not necessarily reflect those of SOC. So we want to get to our guests right away. She's a great partner in the community with SOC. She's a great amiga. I'd like to invite on Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
Oh, it is so fantastic to be with you.
Good to see your face.
Great. It is. It's great. And of course, as we were talking earlier, and to realize that the Southside organizing community, this is the harvest of 30 years of work that you have done organizing the near South Side and keeping people connected. And I am so happy to be here virtually with all of you. And so here's a big virtual kiss and hug to all of you. And so let me say, I think the latest and greatest news is that I am literally packing to head back to Washington, D.C. to cast a vote on the second CARES package that Nancy Pelosi has put together. And I just want to share some of the updates in what we have called the HEROES Act that may uh, be of interest to some of the immigrant community that is within the scope of your constituency there on the near south side. Um, and so, with your, if you'll let me, I'll go through and I won't wax on. I'll go through bullet by bullet so that if there's a chance to have some dialogue, we can do that. But some of the things that I pulled out were things that I thought would be of interest, particular interest. Um, the HEROES Act provides another round of the economic impact payments. Remember the $1,200 you got, uh, and then $500 for each kid. It does another round of that. This time it includes 17-year-olds. I don't know why they cut 17-year-olds out. Um, but in addition to that, it allows the economic impact payment to go to legal immigrants, those people who have a taxpayer identification number, an EIN, instead of a social security number. And so that will be retroactive. So those folks who didn't get that $1,200 economic impact payment the first time, legal immigrants, because they didn't have a social security number, will get that $1,200 retrospectively plus the $1,200 in this package when it passes. Um, in this bill, we also include language that makes it clear that no institution of higher learning may provide any information to the Bureau on the immigration or on the citizenship status of any of its students. So this is, we want to clear the decks on making sure that our students are not harassed. Um, this bill provides hazard pay for those folks who are frontline workers, regardless of immigration status. I think that's important. Um, this bill also provides some temporary immigration status or work authorizations that were set to expire during this emergency period. This requires a little bit more explanation, but what it does is it basically says that during this call for an emergency, that there will be some stays in terms of automatic. There's an automatic extension of some immigration activities, um, and certainly that would be true of essential workers. Um, I think something that's really important in higher education is a move by current Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, uh, where it would overturn a rule by her that made undocumented immigrant students ineligible for assistance provided by Congress to such students. It prohibits the Secretary of Education from imposing restrictions on the population of students who may receive funds under the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. Uh, it specifies that the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996 does not apply to funds made available under Section 1804004 under the CARES Act. So basically, this would make students eligible for the Educational Emergency Relief Fund, despite over the signature of the secretary. So I'm going to put it back to you, and let's see if we can get some dialogue on other things that may be of interest today.
Super encouraging news, Congresswoman Moore, on the action that you all are taking at a time when things are so challenging, and especially to see that those essential frontline workers are protected during this time when they're serving us. Um, we'll look forward and be watching that CARES Act 2 and what happens with that. We have two topics of great concern to Southsiders, which is really everyone right now, which is our response to the coronavirus, which we saw in this CARES Act, and to Congresswoman Moore, the spring election that took place here in the state. So you want to share some overall thoughts about the coronavirus COVID-19 situation, and then we can also discuss the spring election.
Well, thank you for raising that, because I didn't want to share the entire 1,000-page document with you on CARES 2 Act, but it's important to note that there's definitely monies in this bill to help local governments administer
Uh,
a better election outcome. You know, just to make it plain and simple, the April 7th election was a hot mess.
it was.
Okay. It was a hot mess. And and so for those people who want to say that there's a lot of blame to go around, that is absolutely true. But here's the thing that we learned. It takes money and resources to have a good election. I think we there were one about 1.2 million requests for absentee ballots in this cycle, when last cycle there were only 250,000 absentee ballots. I mean, and so, for those of us who are upset about, I know people who requested an absentee ballot, who saw that the pandemic was coming, and I was one of the people requested an absentee ballot, and waited until the last minute. And some people didn't receive their absentee ballot, or it didn't get back by April 7th, and they were disenfranchised. That was one group of people. We do know that statewide, we're thinking about at least 72 people who were infected in the election as direct result of casting a vote. And in this country, there's a constitutional prohibition against imposing a quote unquote poll tax on people. We can talk about I know you're a young, sweet young thing. You might not remember the poll taxes, but certainly a person's health and their life is too high a price to pay for the right to vote. And so what we really do need, we need to protect same day voting, because that's a right that we need to protect. And maybe we can justify having only 5 polling sites if we've had mail in ballots for everybody, that we have a longer period of time to get them in, that we have no, you don't have to make excuses and have 25 witnesses in order to cast a ballot. I'm exaggerating, but you shouldn't even have to. How can you have a witness when you're supposed to be sheltering in place if you're a single person to get your ballot in? And So I think that that this spring election was a dry run for all of the organizing that we need to do, to make sure that, number one, we get people registered to vote and requesting an absentee ballot. That one of the things that we did in this next bill coming up is we provided more money, not only for elections separately, but for state and local governments. I mean, just the burden on the clerk's office with 4 or 5 times the number of requests for ballots would be tremendous. And the post office, which, I'm a partisan. I know you're not, but Republicans have tried to kill the post office during this pandemic, and they have been they are the deliverers of last resort. They deliver for Amazon and FedEx and all the big boys. The post office does. And so we have, this is a big fight, and this is not a time to wimp away and to get scared, and it's not a time to mourn. We have to organize, and that's why I'm glad to be here with you today.
We're happy that you're with us. You've been a strong partner all along. What messages do you want to share with residents about the safer at home order, the sheltering in place order? And then, are there any suggestions you have for Wisconsinites and Milwaukeeans about what actions they should be taking So one is a message
Well,
about
you know,
safer.
I hope safer at home is safer at home, because we have seen, an uptick in domestic violence,
We have.
and provisions that I have put in letters. We are constantly trying to raise the amount of money to make sure that people do not have to be victims of and hostages in their own homes. To make sure that we plus up the resources, so that people can be safe during this time. Um, I, I I want people to know that that this pandemic is going to last a minute. And so while we have provided yet another $1,200 supplement, that does not seem, none of us are satisfied with that. And I am looking for a more systemic way to provide resources to people for a longer term. We've also, replenishing the unemployment insurance, plussing that up. But I think in order to encourage people to go back to work, and really making work pay, this is a time when we should expand the earned income tax credit. And I have some terrific improvements to the earned income tax credit that would, number one, recognize workers that up until now, up until the pandemic, were invisible. People who work part time, people who don't make very much money, people who are not necessarily covered by the unemployment insurance system, people who don't have any tax liability, and people who are earning, not just welfare benefits, but literally, you can make 14, $15 an hour and still be struggling in this economy. So to give people who are earning even that much money a little bit of boost of income and incentivize and support them at work, to recognize students as workers, to recognize caretakers as workers. These are invisible people who are keeping our grandmothers and mothers out of nursing homes, which nursing homes at this point are very crowded places. And if some adult is taking care of an elder or another disabled person, they are prevented from earning income, and we need to recognize their work, and give it the value that it deserves. And my expansion would do that. And I just want, I want you all to look at it for what it is and give me some feedback.
Sounds good, especially around the domestic violence situation and increases now, and knowing what a faithful partner you have been in the Brides March here in Milwaukee with Yumos Latina Resource Center. So I know it's a issue that you have been very faithful and diligent about. How about what do you think our residents should do? You want some feedback on your proposed legislation. Are there other steps and actions you want folks to take now during this time, Congresswoman Moore?
Someone asked me earlier, does it really matter if people call and send letters? And yes, it does. This is what democracy looks like. I mean, and just as you were saying earlier, it's really important for people to fill out those surveys and let people know that this was a helpful session for them, that they learned through Southside Organizing Committee. And if we don't have SOC, we don't have any way to. I mean, connectivity is difficult right now. And were it not for you, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation. This is important information to protect people with mixed immigrant status, to let them know that there's some protections out there, and to let them know what resources are there. So I'm urging everybody to first of all fill out your survey, and then you can always get me Gwen Moore, dot HOUSC dot house dot gov, www Gwenmore, at gwenmore.com. And also you can hit me up at Gwen Moore, and all Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff, social media.
You're always accessible. You're always a faithful partner. Thank you for being with us, Congresswoman Moore, and taking up the charge.
And thank you for all you do. Happy 30th year anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. Be safe. Adios.
Okay, adiós. Adelante juntos.
Así es. So grateful for Congresswoman Moore being with us. She has been a constant partner. You've seen her in person at our other forums. She is definitely a champion for immigrants and the undocumented community, which we have a large portion in our South Side, amongst all the other things that she elevated today and shared with us. So grateful for that information. We'd like to bring on Taylor now and enter into our coronavirus segment of the forum.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor and I'm the Coronavirus Coordinator for Southside Organizing Center. Today, I wanted to show you how to navigate to our website and view all of our coronavirus resources. I know I talk about visiting our website at socmilwaukee.org, but just wanted to show you a little bit of what that means. All right, let's check it out.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is visit our webpage at socmilwaukee.org. And we're going to let that load a little bit. So the first thing on our webpage, we highlight any breaking news and any events that are going on. So you can see we have our Southside cleanup. And, we're encouraging everyone to vote. We highlight our 3 o'clock with SOC every day. We have that forum Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. And then you'll see our coronavirus updates. You'll see our SOC Gold Institute, which Drea talked about on Monday. And then we are currently hiring, so you can, apply with us. So we're just going to click on our coronavirus update page and check that out. So here is where we do have our information and resources, the latest about the COVID-19, any press releases that we receive. We have resources categorized. So we have adults, workers, business resources, and then we have all the additional business resources. And then we have any civic resources, food resources, government resources. So these are where like any news, press releases, the Safer at Home in English and Spanish. Here's where we have our health resources. So any free testing. We have the Sojourner Family Peace House resources. If you have any questions about housing, you can access it in this section. Any questions about immigration? We do have a variety of free online courses listed here, drawing classes. So if your kids are bored at home or you're bored at home, you can access that. And then we have a list of postponed and canceled events so you can stay up to date with what's going on in our city and other public resources. So if you do want to take action, you can click on any of those links there. If you need help with transportation, the Milwaukee County Transit System is offering free bus rides. So we'll just click on that, and any of these links are going to take you directly to the resource, or they're going to take you directly to the website so you can access that information. So this is the Milwaukee County Transit System's COVID-19 page where they kind of talk about those free bus rides. So you'll be able to access all these links by going to our website and by visiting there. I'll let that load a little bit. Yeah, so check it out. When I talk about free resources, this is what we mean.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's coronavirus segment. I hope that you're able to check out our website. It has a lot of information and resources for you. We want to make sure that we are serving you. So if there's anything that you do have a question, please drop it below in the comments so that we can be able to find out the information for you. All right, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Taylor, for helping us to navigate the website. Appreciate that little tutorial. Lots of information for you all. If you go there and you're not finding what you need, drop us a line or give us a call so we can try to research that and get a resource for you. Congresswoman Moore shared at the federal level things that are happening. And so now we're going to turn our eye to the state level. And Gabe Charles, our civic engagement manager, is going to give us an update with that. Hi, Gabe.
Hello, hello. So yeah, lots of really important information that Congresswoman Moore shared with us. Really excited that she was able to be with us today. And I just have some news from the state level for everyone today. And that's just an update on the Badger Bounce Back Plan. And for those that have been with us for these last few weeks, I've mentioned it a few different times. But this is a plan that would reopen Wisconsin, and it has 3 phases. Phase 1 would include reopening restaurants with social distancing in place and having gatherings of 10 people be allowed again, and opening childcare facilities. Phase 2 would be allowing gatherings of up to 50 people, reopening bars with social distancing in place, and then this would also allow universities and technical colleges to consider reopening as well. And then phase 3 would be all normal business activity and gatherings could be resumed as normal. But as you all know, Wisconsin had to reach certain requirements in order to start phase 1. And there are 6 requirements, and the good news is Wisconsin has met 5 of those 6 requirements. And so I just want to share with you all some of the graphs and data that that accompany this good news. So if we can share, as you can see with this image, these are the 6 different requirements, and those that have a green dot have been met, and those that have a red dot have not been met. So as you can see, there's only one that has not been met, and that is being the downward trajectory of influenza-like illnesses reported within a 14-day period. But the other ones, which are 5 of the 6, have been met. So the downward trajectory of COVID-like symptoms reported within a 14-day period, downward trajectory of positive test results as a percent of the total tests within a 14-day period, 95% of hospitals affirming they can treat all patients without crisis standards, 95% of hospitals affirming that they have arranged for testing for clinical staff that show symptoms, and a downward trend of COVID-19 cases among healthcare workers calculated on a weekly basis. And so the first requirement that has not been met, I can show the graph for that one, which shows that there is a slight downward trend, but it's said that it has not been met because it is not a significant enough downward trend. So it seems like we're on the way. Again, this is emergency visits with influenza or flu-like symptoms being reported. And again, it does show a downward trend, but it's not significant enough to be considered met, that the requirement has been met. Then we have the next one, which is the emergency visits with suspected COVID-related symptoms, and that has been seen as a significant enough downward trend that the requirement has been met. The next one is again showing a significant downward trend, which is those who had positive COVID-19 test results and for the last 14 days. And then lastly, the last graph that we'll show is the cases among healthcare workers. And for these graphs, just to explain a little bit, the dark line is the actual number of cases, the actual data, and then the orange dotted line is the trend calculated from the actual data. So kind of like an average, if you will, of the data. So that's just what I wanted to share with all of you, so you can see firsthand what this data looks like, and just get a little excited that we kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel. And even though we do see 5 of the 6 requirements being met, even when the 6th one is met, we want to still be very careful and remind everyone to be very cautious, because it's not like COVID-19 is just going to go away, and to be very mindful of the space and distance you're keeping between people. No matter where you end up going that opens up, still try to maintain your distance, still stay at home whenever possible. Really think to yourself what's worth it and what's not worth it in your activity day to day as Wisconsin starts opening up. So just want to keep that in mind as we move forward. And now I will leave you with a census video that just paints another perspective of how important the census is and who it can affect and what it can affect. So I will leave you with that video, and I will see you all tomorrow.
Gabe, quick question for you. So
Yeah,
the data that you're sharing is at the state level, correct?
Yes, this is the
Yeah.
Department of Health Services from the Wisconsin level, and that can be found on dhs.gov/COVID-19, I'm pretty sure. Or you can just go to the DHS website and it guides you almost directly to this page because it's the most breaking important information on their page.
Great info. I just wanted to emphasize and let folks
Yeah.
know who the source of the information was, and that it was state level data as we look at county and city. Thank you so much. That was great. And we can move to your video now.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for the clarification.
Meet Leo. Leo and his family have been living in the same community most of their lives, but lately he's noticed a change. Schools are getting a little more crowded, the drive a little longer, and there are fewer child care centers available. Not to mention, federal assistance programs have become more limited. Leo realized that the lack of a strong voice representing his community has resulted in many of these problems being overlooked, which is why he's decided to participate in the U.S. Census. Participating in the census will help ensure that his community receives its fair share of funding for public services and fair political representation. Like Leo, you too can make a change by getting counted. Stay informed about the upcoming 2020 census by contacting Naleo Educational Fund. Text census to 97779 or call 1-877-352-3676.
Thank you, Gabe, for continuing to educate us about the census and lifting that, how important it is through so many different videos and information that you're finding and sharing. So grateful for that. We're going to bring our communications manager, Marisol Diaz, on to talk about our daily promotion.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good day. Just want to remind you all about our daily $25 gift certificate drawing. All you have to do is fill out the census, and by doing so, it enters you into the drawing. Thank you for those of you who have filled it out. And today we do have a winner. Let me put it on the screen. Our winner for today is Lilian Resendiz. Congrats, Lilian. Thank you so much for filling out the survey. Make sure to contact us at soc@socmilwaukee.org to claim your certificate.
Gracias, Marisol, and congratulations, Lillian. Let me see if we have any questions in our comment section. Hi, Jetty. So good to see you. Timbo Williams, hello. Stacy Carlos, hello. Carlos Schmidt, one of our staffers. Uriel, hola. Thanks for being with us again. Nice to see you there. We are entering a new phase for the forum. And so, as I've shared several times, and for those of you who are with us for the first time, because we can't do our grassroots organizing in person, we are trying all kinds of ways to reach you virtually, including this forum and our phone, messenger, email, etc. And so for the first month of COVID-19, we were in emergency mode, crisis mode, and coming to you Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock with SOC, our forum. We are going, now that it's been extended a little bit, we want to give a little more thought to, now that we're out of crisis mode, what the community needs and what our capacity is as a staff and an organization for the forums. So please do fill out the survey and give us your thoughts because we're about to revamp the forum. We still plan on being here at 3 o'clock with SOC while the safer at home order is in place. And it's clear to us that we're going to incorporate the online forum along with our regular in-person forums when we start back up because we're reaching folks we can't reach in person at the door or at events or who don't come to our forums for whatever reason. And so we'll definitely keep a form of the forum in the future, but now we're going to switch gears from sort of emergency mode to this the rest of May, and we want to incorporate your thoughts for the forum. So please do give us your feedback. The other thing I'd like to do before we wrap up the forum is to again just share our thoughts and prayers for those of you who are having a difficult time because of the domestic violence increase and the fears and anxiety and the trauma that um, comes along with that. And also for those of you who are just having mental health struggles from the stress and isolation, we're here for you. Would love to connect you to resources if you'll allow us to help you. And then lastly is to the family and friends of folks who are experiencing an illness with COVID, someone in your family or network, and those of you who have lost loved ones, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We're going to wrap up the forum today by sharing a thank you to those partners. So many of you partner with us in so many ways, like you saw Congresswoman Moore, and we have business partners and strategic collaborators, other organizations in the community, and resident leaders and residents. But we also have funding partners, and we just like to share and give thanks for them allowing us to continue our program and services, and those of them who have given us extra support to be with you in all the new ways that we are. So be safe, and we leave you with this thank you.
Hello, SOC viewers. I'm Jasmine, and I'm a youth organizer. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show and for completing our SOC survey. In addition to thanking our resident for attending and sharing our show, we would also like to thank the following sponsors: Wisconsin Voices, Community Development Block Grants, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Fund, Movement Voter Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Silver Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, Tides Foundation, City of Milwaukee Promise Zones, all the faithful individuals who support SOC through their personal donation. Thank you.